Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk, NFTs, crypto, and Web3. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, I have a very special guest with me today. He is an NFT artist, designer, and illustrator and animator. Please welcome Lucius Ha. Hello, and welcome to the show, Lucius.
Thank you so much for the amazing introduction. It's my first time having this type of interview. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, you're
Very
most
happy.
welcome. So I want to go ahead and really ask you, where are you from and how'd you get started into art?
I'm from, it's a long story. I was born in Korea, South Korea. Uh, I moved to Australia when I was around 10.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Sydney. I moved to Melbourne. Been living here for about 6 years. I started
Mm-hmm.
art actually since I was really, really young. I don't even remember when. I actually grew up with my auntie, and my auntie was an animator for
Mm-hmm.
SpongeBob, Simpsons, and all that type of things.
Wow.
So I just saw her collection of cartoons, manga, and all that, and I just read all that. Didn't even know the writings. I just saw the images. Then I saw a lot of videos, like the video cassette at that time of like
Mm,
different animations, whether that's a Disney film or it's just a
right.
short, like a 20-minute cartoon. I just saw that and I just wanted to draw, and that was the simplest thing.
Mm,
Then I started drawing more like elite or professionally by this Korean guy since I was around 12 something, because my
wow.
family thought, and I was like, wow, this guy is, you know, you need to draw. And that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like I started learning from him really like fine art stuff, like drawing a statue, drawing, painting, all that type of thing.
Mm,
Then I moved into design later on.
mm. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Like your work reminds me of like this Korean artist named Mr. Mizang.
Mm.
That reminds me because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah. I was inspired by him like a
Mm,
lot, and I think I was inspired by him. And there's many different Thai artists that does really similar things, like a lot of details, like Jeff Fissett,
mm-hmm.
uh, and Kiss Rose, Wild Freaks, and that's just the name of the artist names.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know their real name, but that's what they do. And same with Mr. Mistang, even though I'm a huge fan of him, I don't know his real name, but they do really similar stuff. And I really love small details, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something I try to do with my one.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
for like bringing that up. I'm honored all the time.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Like Mr. Mizan's work is absolutely phenomenal. But what I like
It
about
is.
his work is like he really touches on social issues. I think
Mm.
one of the pieces that he had was talking about the food industry in terms of processed foods, fast food, and like just the amount of detail he puts into it. I was like, wow.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really amazing. But I definitely want to get into art school. So you went to the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, and you got
Mm.
into industrial design, and also with footwear. So, what
Mhm.
was your decision behind like getting into that?
Getting into industrial design was, like I told you, I was studying under this Korean guy,
Mm,
and he was industrial designer previously. He did like he worked with Samsung and all that, like big companies. And at that time, I was like, 12, 13, just kind of in that the puberty time. And I was thinking very realistically. I wanted to do
mm,
art, but all the studies that I've done, not many artists made a lot of fame or money while
right,
they're alive. And when you think about it, it's not true, because there's a lot of artists that had made a lot of fame and money while they're alive.
right.
But I had no idea about that. So I kind of kept on, doing art and drawing and all that, but I didn't know how to make money realistically.
Mm,
When I'm thinking about it, like 12, I hadn't thought about that. But then my teacher started to talk about like industrial design, like product design and
right.
all that. So then that was the simplest reason I decided to go in. But of course, when I entered university, industrial design is so broad. Like you can do product, you can do cars, all that type of things. And I had
Right.
no idea what I really wanted to do. Then in the second year, I just got into shoes, like out of nowhere. I just got into sneakers.
Mm.
Um, Actually, there's a manga called Slam Dunk. I don't know if you know.
Mm-mm.
It's just about like it's a Japanese manga about like a basketball, and it was
Mm.
written in like 91 to 95, and that's when like Chicago Bulls were like skyrocketing. So
Mm.
all the shoes the characters were Jordans.
Mm.
Then I saw them. I was like, okay, I really want to wear them. I decided to line up. I decided to get the shoes. I was an AJ1 OG at the time,
Right.
and I just realized I was waiting till 4 a.m. to get the shoes.
Right.
Why not I design it?
Mm.
And then I saw Netflix about Tinker Hatfield, the Nike designer that designed shoes. Then he turns out to be industrial designer. And then I done more research. Then I realized it's actually a lot of industrial designers doing footwear and athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to get into it.
Mm. Yeah, that's very interesting because a lot of like, the shoes that we wear, especially what women wear, is all designed by men. Mostly designed by men.
Mm,
And like like the heel and the design and the sketches, like the way that they make the shoe, it's really, really interesting.
mm.
Yeah, that's what I find very, very, very cool with that. But I also want to get into also animation. So, like, what got you into animation as well? Are you self-taught or did you go to school for that?
No, no, I was self-taught on this one. Well, technically, from my auntie, 'cause I don't know when she taught me this. I think when I was really young, and she was talking about. I still remember she was talking about frames, like what you got to do in this, and like it changes here and changes here. So she kind of taught me how the animation works.
Right.
So what I used to do was like like flip books. Like when I was like 5 or 6, I used to do like a lot of flip books
Mhm.
animations. I think it's all gone. So what I used to do was every weekend I used to buy those like small notepads for
Right.
like $1 or $2, and I used to buy like 5 of them. I don't know why I did it. I could have just done it in random books, but I bought that and I made a flip books, and it was so bad. But I
Right.
started to get a hang of the foundational part of what animation is.
Mm.
Then I think from that learning, I just went straight into what I did in NFT.
Mm. Yeah, right, exactly. But I also want to get into like your art process. So when you do like, your artwork, what is your process? Do you freestyle it? Do you plan it? Do you come with a
Mm,
theme? Like what's your process
mm.
in regards to coming with like your artwork?
Mostly theme, right? I think major works are theme based.
Mm-hmm.
I usually talk about my upbringing of Korean and Australian
Mm-hmm.
um, identity, and like kind of like lost in identity in a way, like a lot of dilemmas and all that. And most of my works are just that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get that theme there. Then I started to talk about some sort of storyline that I can create in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to have, and especially with my design as well, is I want to have a
Mm-hmm.
main figure, and I
Right.
have like a different surrounding. So like the main figure kind of works as a in a way it kind of covers most of the white spots in the frame,
Right.
and I fill in the small details, and that becomes a story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually how I work. And on that, how do I create a composition? That's more like really freestyle. I don't really think of it. In a way, it is freestyle. I do draft it,
Mm-hmm.
but this drafting is really just, it can be literally anything. I don't really think about, okay, I got to use this perspective. I got to use this. I don't really think about that. I don't think I was like that. I wasn't educated in like animation or illustration side, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't know too much about um, the foundation of the composition.
Mm-hmm.
So I just usually just do whatever I want to do. Then it just works out sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. I went to art school. I went to SCAD, which is here in the States in Savannah,
Yeah,
Georgia, Savannah
yeah,
College of Art
yeah,
and Design. And they teach you
yeah,
like a
yeah.
lot of stuff, like, composition and how to, sketch with thumbnails, stuff like that. And, even though I learned that in school, I'm mostly a person that, I mean, I do plan my work, but like in terms of like adding different objects and details, that's pretty much freestyle and stuff like
Mm,
that. So I'll start off with like maybe like a person that I draw, like a face that I draw, and I'll just go from there.
mm.
So I just go ahead and just fill up the space. And I like using like a lot of like bright colors and, just have that vibrancy, that funness in my work. So that's really, really cool. And especially with your work, I like how you use a lot of bright colors, especially like the blues.
Yeah, blues. It just turns out to be that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. But I definitely want to, talk about this quote that you put in. I seen it in your website and I checked out your work, and you describe your work as colorful and bright images, but speaks the dark side because realistically, the world is bright, but the inner side isn't. So why is it important
Mm.
for you to incorporate social issues within your work? And what does that quote mean to you?
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. I completely forgot about that quote. It's something that I randomly had. So Australia is really bright usually.
Hmm.
There is no fog or like air pollution, so it's usually really, really bright.
Right.
Um, and at one point I was in exchange in Korea.
Hmm.
Then it was spring, I think, and it was raining a lot, so a lot of air pollution just went down to the dust, and it was clear sky. It was really nice. It was really bright,
Right.
but and like it was like spring festival, so like like cherry blossoms. Everything was pink, really
Hmm.
bright, really colorful, and
Hmm.
everyone was kind of happy. But at the
Right.
same time, I know that every single one of them was having a really, really bad time because the assignments are coming to June.
Hmm.
Then when I was in Australia, I had the same feeling. It's even though it's really, really bright, a lot of people are working, a lot of people are inside their office under the shades and everything.
Right.
And I knew that, that's a physical side, but I think realistic side of things for me as well, there are so many things going on that, you can't really express and you can't really share to anyone. It could be your own stress because of your personal reasons, or it could be your
Right.
work reasons, or your educational reasons, or whatever that is. A lot of people are having many things while it's so bright,
Hmm.
and you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
It could be really terrible things, or it could be just a minor thing. But I just
Hmm.
had that in my mind.
Hmm. Yeah, that's totally understandable. Yeah, like life can be hard for everybody. You know what I mean? Especially with now, like 2020 when like the pandemic hit, and then like
Mm,
people's trying to just trying to like make ends meet during that time. You know what I mean?
hmm
And that's the thing, especially mental health. Especially now, it's like it's really a big thing. And I like
mm,
when with you and I think it's Noina from Lonely Together,
mm.
you guys talked about mental health and especially being in the NFT and Web3 space. So I want to go ahead and switch gears and talk about how did you get into NFTs, but also how important is mental health within the NFT Web3 space.
Yeah, the NFT side was really random. I worked in Adidas as an intern.
Hmm.
Then I actually met one of my friends from SCAD that I interned as well. So I
Cool.
was interning there. Then, of course, COVID hit. Then I had to go back to Australia from the US to finish my studies. But then COVID hit. Um, then I thought it was going to settle in 2021. That's the year that I was graduating.
Hmm.
But of course, it didn't settle as much as I thought. So the companies were still laying people off, and even though they were hiring people,
Right.
it wasn't much in footwear design side, and also it wasn't too much for international. They
Hmm.
were they preferred to hire someone,
Hmm.
in the country. Realistically, it's much easier.
Right.
Because for me, I need to get a visa, they need to get this, they need to get that, blah, 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 blah. While people in the States or people in Germany, that's where the headquarters is, it's much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was thinking, what should I do? And I was like, at the moment, I was quite picky because I was doing a lot of 3Ds and a lot of computational design side of things. But I wanted to design because I know that I'm capable of doing design, but at the same time doing other things that people can't do. But I was just getting treated as a 3D guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, how can I highlight other skills that I have in different form?
Right.
Then I was talking to the marketing guy from Adidas because we were working on personal projects.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was talking about, dude, Adidas is doing some NFT things. I have no idea what it is. You should look it up. Then I started to look into the NFTs. But on that day, oh no, on that same week, I have a lot of friends doing design in like Silicon Valley and all that.
Right.
They were all doing NFTs. And I was just, it was crazy because I think I heard what NFT was during the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that following week, during the weekdays, I saw so many of my friends doing tons of NFT things, and they were minting their work in like foundations and Opensea and all that, and I had no idea
Right.
what it was. But then I started to, like the puzzle started to come together.
Mm-hmm.
So then I knew, okay, if these guys are doing it, it's the future. So I
Right.
looked into more detail and like what this really is, and I was already doing Ethereum investing. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew the vocab already, but I just had to know what this NFT can be like and how it can be, be more beneficial for me in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's when I started to really look into what NFT was, and that's really how I jumped into NFT.
Wow.
But the
That's
mental health issue is, yeah, it's a different case.
yeah, absolutely, totally. But also too, like, what was your whole experience with crypto investing? Like with Ethereum.
It was I think I got into like before thousand or like after $1,000 um in the
Mm-hmm.
value of Ethereum. And I missed the train because during my last year of my honors, we call it thesis year. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing my thesis, and the one of my friend in the group, he was talking about, dude, you got to get into crypto. And if I think about it, I could have made like a lot of money if I invested that time, because he probably did.
Right.
Because I think Ethereum was like less than $100 at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, it's quite a lot. But anyway, he was talking about it then. Then I think like a GameStop thing came out of nowhere. Then I
Mm-hmm.
started to get into like stocks. I didn't invest anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I just started to look into it. Then he was talking to me, hey, like, don't do stocks because it's all like centralized.
Mm-hmm.
Do decentralization. And like he started to teach me all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I was quite into crypto. I didn't do a lot of investing. I was like
Mm-hmm.
$200. It wasn't a lot, but but I was playing around with like decentralization finance,
Right.
um, a lot of decentralized apps, like different vocabs and the things that they use and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was looking into that, NFT came along. So it was much easier for me to actually understand the foundational side of what NFT is
Right.
and just roll into it easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. But I also want to get into the name BluuGu because I find that very cool. Now, how did that
Mm.
name come about?
BluuGu is my nickname from high school. So a lot of Australian people like to give nicknames like
Mm-hmm.
Julian, Jules, Alex could be Al, or Mitchell could be Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
Just shortening it or extending it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's too short, they extend it. If it's too long, they shorten it. For me, it was really awkward because Lucius, it doesn't really go with anything. Like we can go like Lucy, but like Lucy is an actual name, so it doesn't work out. So Lou, so like a lot of people still calls me Lou or Lush, but they want it to be a little more unique for some reason. So they decided to add Blue. and Blue then just turned into BluuGu. So technically it was BLUGU, not UU in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was making my Instagram account, someone was already using it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to add extra U, and that turns out to be the name.
Wow, that's really, really cool. But I also want to get into your BluuTopia, so tell us about the BluuTopia.
BluuTopia is a NFT collection project that I'm working on with, let's see how many friends that I'm working with, like 10. Turns out it started out with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He started the marketing and the business part, and he was helping me with all the NFT journey. He helped me to, try to network with different people, like market different things properly, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
Because in NFT, that's really important, especially just for small artists or designers.
Right.
But then he turned into doing a project with me.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like other friends that's helped me along, and we just started to add more people, add more powers into the project. So the project is about welcoming all cross-cultural people.
Mm-hmm.
Through my NFT journey, I was so confused and had so many dilemma of where I actually belong. If I go to Korea, I'm Australian, and if
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Australia, I'm a Korean. So like I'm not actually like one or the other in both countries
Mm-hmm.
position. And while I start and all my NFT works are usually in that theme, and so many people really understood and empathized with of the theme and all my stories. So I got a lot of support, whether that's actual financial support because I started to sell my work in really high prices. But
Mm-hmm.
then I discovered new career as an NFT artist. Now I stopped doing design. Now I'm doing full on NFT artist now, like full time.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I found new career in doing this. I can make actual living out of this. And through my NFT career, even though I have really, really short um, illustration or illustrator career, I can actually be recognized in many places, and many people actually respect my work um, very easily, I think, because of NFT. And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, wow, this is like huge support that I got. And
Mm-hmm.
also, it's just the mental support as well. And this is something that I wanted to bring it back to people. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
started out the project. And the project will be mainly focusing on how to support all these artists around the NFT space that shares this cross-cultural values. They may be
Mm-hmm.
pushed out to generic NFT artists and trying to support them as well. It's kind of like Red Bull, like Red Bull supports like crazy people doing like, crazy things, jump off the sky without a parachute. Um, I think that's something that we are also aiming to be, like supporting
Right.
them, like no matter what they're doing, supporting them
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the aim. Or like a Patagonia, like supporting and like helping the environment and trying to create more like a movement of normalizing this environmental friendly things. I think what they do is more like much broader than that, but I think that's something that we're also trying to aim for, where we are trying to empower and highlight those people, but at the same time, we're trying to, um, create some sort of movement of normalizing cross-cultural experience because so many people are already having it, but I can see that it's going to happen more in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to. That's the main set of the project.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we have many other things for more like for like really specific target of the audience. But at the same time, we have other perks and other things that we are trying to bring to the casual holders of NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are looking for something else. Some people might be looking for financial benefit, and that's something I cannot promise because that's not my area. And I think this is going to be really art focused project,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be the art for artists by artists. to create a movement in buy art. So
Right.
I'm not too sure if I can promise any financial benefits, but I'll try my best to increase the floor price by, anyhow. But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's just the growth of community, and I like how very
Mm,
supportive, people can be in NFT and Web3 space. Like, if you have a project, they say, "Hey, we'll support you," and and I like what some of the Twitter spaces they talk about mental health. Also including women in the NFT and Web3 space. I think that's also important as well. So it's really, really
hmm
cool. Like, it's a very, very cool community, and especially this technology with NFT and Web3 is very, very new. You know what I mean?
mm,
Because when I first learned about it, it was like March like of last year. You know what I mean? And I heard it from somebody, who's a nail artist like myself, like, like, hey, have you heard of NFTs? And I was like, nah, I haven't heard of it because I didn't pay too much attention to it at at the time.
mm,
But the more I got into it, I was like, wow, this is very interesting. And I heard of people like, World of Women, many other NFT projects that were out. I was like, oh, okay, people are getting into this and stuff like that. I'm still learning about it before I even jump in it. So, but yeah, but the community is very, very cool.
mm. Community is all about. I think, NFT, especially with the project side of things, community is what it's making project, basically. The project actually runs by the community. And because I'm not too sure about other projects, but I think one of the big ones are very decentralized. And that's what NFT is about.
Right.
So community makes the decision where this project is heading.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's 100% like, community is everything in
Mm-hmm.
NFT.
Yeah, definitely. But also like the impact as well, because you look at Lonely Together, what they're standing for. Also, like, I just found out about Garbage Friends and,
Mm,
hearing about like Doodles NFT, there's representation, but also a sense of utility. Like they say, hey, if you buy our NFT, this is what you'll get for what's like merch or like,
mm,
perks and stuff like that, being a member. But I also want to jump into Discord a little bit. So you have a Discord. So what has been your
mm.
experience like? Promoting your NFT collection through Discord? Like, has it been difficult? And what are some ways that you've been able to navigate within Discord?
I think Discord is probably the toughest thing that I've ever done because I never actually done Discord before. Um, but like I said, like the whole project actually runs by the community. If there's more community members and more hardcore fans, a harder and a tighter the project gets, and the
Hmm.
value just increases.
Right.
But if the community is a little weak, and if there aren't many community members participating in different things, of course it will start to crumble inside and fall.
Right.
So I think Discord, trying to like promote our project in the Discord isn't just about promoting. I think it's more about community building and
Right.
trying to make people more engaged
Hmm.
um, about what this project is going to be. And
Hmm.
I think that's the toughest thing, but that's what everyone needs to do because that's Twitter and like Instagram. You can't really interact with people one to one. You post something and you might be commenting on people's thing, but you can't really have a conversation. Sometimes it can happen, but it is very, it's very difficult to like jump into many conversations like that. It'll
Right.
be more like a commenting and like comment and like the comment below, and like the conversation goes on. But I think Discord is more like just a conversation base. So
Hmm.
everyone is having a chat all the time, and
Hmm.
that chat can just anyone can actually kind of jump into the chat, or they can create a new topic and create a new chat, new topic. Then just
Hmm.
people talk about different things, and I think making people chat and making people more engaged into that, like
Hmm.
a conversational type of things, are very difficult. But that's something that we need to do. And
Hmm.
I think that's a challenging part of Discord. Not just promoting, I think that side is really important. Making people talk,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I also want to get into just in regards to pricing, especially with NFTs. So, what's some piece of advice that you can give for people who kind of struggle with that, or what has been like or what has been your whole journey just in regards to like pricing your NFTs?
Pricing an NFT was most difficult. I think project based, it's difficult for me to say because I haven't really figured this out. But I think for one of ones, like what I've done in Opensea, Foundation, and Super, that's something I can maybe start to speak of, because that's something I definitely worked on really hard to discover what it is.
Right.
I think for Opensea, it's usually a set price. You set the price and that's it. And that's probably the hardest part. So I usually advise people to, if you're thinking about, let's say 100, try to lower it down to 70 or 80. Probably 70 is probably most likely to be the goal that you're aiming for. So let's say you're selling this for 0.1 Ethereum. You'd want to make it to 0.07. And it kind of makes it better for a lot of people to see it. I think that's when you start off the NFT journey. But let's say you work in Foundation straight away, which is a very auction platform. If you're thinking about selling it for 1 Ethereum for this piece, try to maybe lower it down to 0.3. Because lower the prices, it's much easier for people to participate, even though they're not like a big hand money people.
Right.
Other NFT artists might see it and be like, hey, that's actually good. 0.3, that's something I can probably, try to manage. And they bid on 0.3. Then the moment the bid goes on, it's very likely for other NFT artists or any other small NFT collectors to jump in. And when that starts to come in, and if there is more bidding happening, there's more things that you can say on Twitter or Instagram. You can say, hey, another bid came in, another bid came in, another bid came in. It's for 24 hours. So you can constantly say that another bid came in, and you can just kind of promote yourself that your artwork is more popular than just getting 2 or 3 bids and finishing it. So you can actually start to create some noise from it. Then that might attract a big collectors. Then let's say you ended up selling for 1 Ethereum after doing a lot of bid wars. Then you have a little bit of a floor price of where your work stands. Then the next time you might put it to 0.5, 0.6. Even though you're still aiming for 1 Ethereum, you can maybe increase it a little bit. And now you've already made a noise. You probably have some fans that lost the war. They might try to bid in once more, so they can actually get this work again. And you can then start it up. And that's what I did with my work. So I start off with 0.3, and I ended up selling for 0.1. No, 1 Ethereum. Then the next time I set up for, again, 0.3 or something. Then I ended up selling for 4 Ethereum. Then I did for 1 Ethereum. I started off with 1 Ethereum, and it went up to 15. And at the time, it was like $30,000 or something. So it was crazy. Third work. But that's how it started to make a noise. But I think when I first done it, not many people were paying attention to my work. Only a few friends weren't doing it. But because there was a lot of bid war happening, a lot of eyes started to catch it.
Right.
So on the second one, big collector came in and he decided to get the work. Third one of the biggest collector in NFT came in and he just put everyone down. If that continued, and if this continues, it'll just be better for you, because if the big collector comes in, they might make a post and you might get a lot of engagements, and that's when your value comes in. So to summarize, I think if you're expecting 100%, always try to aim for 70 to 80 at the starting time. And valuing your work is totally up to you. So if people are saying, like, I want to get $100 for this, and people are saying, no, that's $10 work, don't listen to them. Just stick to your ground to $100. And let's say it's NFT, and you're starting, if you're starting the NFT, not many people might not know the value of $100, and that can be a little too difficult to people to catch, right? So maybe lower it down to 70, 80 can give people more room to maybe participate and have some interest in it. and like lowering to like 70-80%, maybe like selling for $70-80 in NFTs, actually it's okay money to put in. So I think that's a good starting point that I always ask for new NFT artists to do, and always market it. It's not like, I think a lot of like artists and a lot of designers that lived in, I think, to this current days, what they do is they post it and they wait for people to come in. And that's what designer and that's what artists usually do, especially for designer, like freelance designers. That's what usually do. You design something, then you put on your Instagram, and then you pretty much leave it there, and other people actually come in for freelancing advices or freelance works. But this is different. You have to actually sell it. So you have to market it really well, and you have to know the platform that you're using, whether it's Twitter or whether it's Instagram or Discord communities. You have to market it really well, and you have to make people see your work so that people can actually get interested in it. Because there's probably there's more than like 10,000 works minting every single day. And some of them are probably new, some of them are probably old artists. But if it's new, you gotta make your art out there. You gotta make it pop. And in order to pop, even though it's really good, it's just going to be it's just going to be like just covered in tons of different NFTs in the platform. So what you gotta do, you gotta talk to people, you gotta show this to people. You gotta just show it to everyone. That's what I used to do. I used to like wake up in the morning, I start to spam people. It's bad, but I used to spam a lot of works. I used to like just spam it all over the place. And it didn't work out for like a month, but it popped at one point. Then from there, like a week later, I sold another. A week later, I sold another. Then I made one, minted, sell, make, mint, sell, make, mint, sell, and that just went for like 6-7 months. And I'm like, it sounds like I'm bragging, but I sold. But I ended up selling all my artworks.
Right.
So I think it works really well. But in terms of how to increase the value, like another really amazing artist in Australia, and I think you interviewed her as well, Sowa.
Yeah, Sowa Tafa.
Yeah, she increased the value really quickly. I did an exhibition with her at one point in Sydney, but yeah, she increased the value really quickly. And in terms of that, I don't know, because she's been in the art space for much longer than I have. And that's something I definitely need to learn from her. But for the NFT pricing, I think that's probably the go-to way. So that was a really long conversation, because that's something that's something I think of for a really long time, and I try to like be my like a logistic out of it.
Right.
But
yeah, right, exactly. Now, would you recommend Twitter, as like the best platform just in regards to just marketing?
Yeah, Twitter is probably the best one. Yeah, no doubt. I think NFT in Instagram, I think like Instagram is starting to open up like digital assets, and like you can connect your wallet and everything.
Right.
But the general population aren't really like happy with looking at NFTs. And I think that's really important, because you want to make people interested in what you're doing.
Right.
But if it goes into a different direction, it's not that great. And let's say you worked a lot and you put in tons of hours, and if there's a positive things happening, what you worked on just disappears. I mean, like your tiredness, everything just disappears. It's all just like really energetic, and you're just positive, and you just want to do more. But when you get like a negative impact, all this tiredness like doubles up, and you get everything gets so heavy, and you get like discouraged, and you start to doubt yourself. So I think putting your work into more like a positive side first,
right,
then move into Instagram. You got Twitter, you're still, you know, growing as an NFT artist. No one's gonna say anything in Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people are doing TikTok, and I think that's a pretty good idea as well. I don't do TikTok because I'm not really like that type of person. I don't know, like speaking in front of the camera is a little cringe for me.
Yeah,
Just by myself.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
it's totally, understandable because there's so many like social media platforms. You got like TikTok, Instagram. I remember like Snapchat was like the popular thing when I was in high school. Yeah, it's just so many platforms to use. It can be overwhelming. So, I stay with like Twitter, Instagram, and Tik. I do a little bit of TikTok, but not very much as well.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Twitter for promoting your work and actually like getting people to like click the links of where you minted and telling them how much it is.
Hmm.
I think Instagram you can just aim for just putting an artwork and just
Yeah,
story rather than like, hey, this is my NFT, I'm selling for $100. Instead of doing that, I think Twitter
yeah.
can work better in this sense.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, what are some things do you feel like is missing within the Web3 and NFT space, possibly in your perspective?
Right now, I think it was really cool in the beginning. Like for me, you know, I had never done illustrations before. I only done design publicly.
Hmm.
Um, and it was much easier for me to get into NFTs because a lot of people were kind of new
Hmm.
getting into this NFT. And I think there was a lot of positive vibes, like really good vibes.
Hmm.
And everyone was really supportive. And, you know, even though, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, this is making money things.
Right.
But a lot of people were like really aiming to make tons of money out of this. And
Hmm.
people were just like doing it because they like it. Um, and I seen that a lot. I think 80%, 90% was that. But now I think after the bull market, Ethereum going up to like $4,800,
Hmm.
tons of projects came along, and tons of projects was just rubbish.
Hmm.
Like people scammed. Like you know, there were so many people who made like $10 million, nothing.
Hmm.
Or there's a project called Pixelmon.
Hmm.
It's kind of like Pokemon, but like in pixel.
Oh,
And they promoted really, really well. And before even, you know, actually launching it, they actually got like a blue tick mark. And I
hmm.
think they got like more than $100 million
Wow.
just in like, yeah, pretty much like just in a day. Technically, like less than a day.
Whoa.
Then the outcome was just rubbish.
Hmm.
So, so just I think that just started to create a lot of disbelief in the community of the NFT generally. So a lot of people are starting to like not really trust people. A lot of people are really, really aiming for the money instead
Right.
of, you know, I think NFT really started off as a technology, but at the same time it was very art centric. But now a lot of people are really just looking into the financial benefits out of it.
Hmm.
Instead of looking at the what the value is, why the project is starting, or why the art is there, a lot of people are just looking at the money. And I think for the artist itself as well, it's starting to go into that side too, because a lot of artists are just trying to aim for the money, and they're really just um, trying to, you know, trying to make a quick buck and out of it. Um, I think that's something that's just kind of happening inside the NFT and like when Web3 these days. For
Right.
me, that's just my sense. But you know, of course, at the same time, there are a lot of projects and a lot of artists that is around me that is really aiming for the core values of why they done it and why they're doing it, and
Right.
not really looking for the money side. And I think that's something that we can, you know, try to push further out in the space.
Hmm.
Because, you know, if everyone is just looking for a quick buck and out of this whole innovation is just going to crumble. Um,
Right.
because a lot of people are just looking for the money and they
Hmm.
make money out, and it's just going to create a lot of negative impacts across the general public. So that's something I'm trying to not do, of course, for my project.
Mhm.
But I guess that's something that I wish to see in coming days.
Mm. Yeah, it's totally understandable. I definitely want to really ask, like, how do you balance being an NFT artist and, just everyday life? Like, how do you balance that?
Well, I don't know. I don't think I do that. Um, I take one day off or 1.5 day off sometimes. So currently I'm in my girlfriend's place. Um, so I spend usually one day with my girlfriend or one day with my family.
Mm,
Then the rest of my days are like just working.
mm.
So yeah, that's me. I
Yeah.
wake up, I wake, I go to bed. I wake up, work, go to bed.
Oh, okay.
I think that part is really bad. You got to have some sort of balance. But
Yeah.
I think it is really important to have a balance because that's something I always look at. I see people working in just a company or studio with designers. Even my
Right.
friend doing startups, they have work-life balance pretty set up. They go to work at 10 and they finish 7 and they don't even look at it for the rest of the day. And they
Mm,
take really good break during the
hmm.
weekend. And it's really set up things. And I think that's something that I'm also aiming to do. Probably not from 10 to 7, but like could be like later,
Right.
like 9 or 8 to 7. But I think there should be a time that you finish and you break and you don't look at it.
Mm,
Um, it's something I'm trying to aim for, but it's a little difficult thing to think of right now because I'm at the moment of building the project, and I think when the project starts to stabilize and it runs without me being involved
mm.
or without my team members being involved, I think it could run um, smoothly. Then I can probably think of having some sort of work-life balance, and that's something definitely something I always dream about it. I'm like 8 to 7, it's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I definitely want to switch gears and talk about just a little bit about art really quickly.
Hmm.
But I definitely wanted to really ask about Kim Jong Gi, who recently passed away.
Mm.
Unfortunately, he made such an impact with a lot of art, especially like people like myself. Just seeing his work is absolutely like immaculate. So I want to go ahead and ask, like, what's your perspective of Kim Jong Gi and how he really like made an impact on you
Oh,
in regards to being an artist?
when I moved to Australia, probably like 2008,
Mm,
I started to look into different like webtoons. So it's kind of like cartoon, but like in web. They call it
mm,
webtoons. And he actually done a comic at that time,
mm,
um, online, and that was 2008. And he did a thing called TLT, the Tiger the Long Tail, and it's
mm.
probably one of the most, wouldn't say influential, but like probably most impactful work that I've seen in my life because it talks about not just the drawing, it talks about um, very realistic economy or like the social science of
Right.
people. But it just portrayed as an animal. But this animal actually go to work and has to deal with different politics, different things inside the company, outside the company, how they need to live, what the money has to go into, and all that. And I was probably like 10 at that time.
Mhm.
And just seeing that was quite, yeah, it was very impactful. And the drawing side was amazing. And at the
Mm,
time, I didn't really understand how good the drawing was. But later in the stage, going into high school, starting to learn the drawing side really detailedly,
mhm,
it was just amazing. Like the perspective, composition, how detailed things can be, and how he's doing it without even sketching it before. He's just freehanding it. I'm like, dude, like, how's he doing this? And I was, just big influence, and especially like his works and how detailed that works are actually definitely influenced me with my one-on-ones for sure.
Yeah, that's really
100%.
really cool. Yeah, that's really really cool. Now, what's next for BluuTopia? Any collaborations? Any plans down the line? Like what's next for BluuTopia?
Are we really building onto that, like what is going to be the next? And I think the next is going to be seen after we launch things. I
Mm,
think during that time it'll just be really building stuff,
mm,
building the foundation, and after that it'll be really focused on how to support artists in different ways. So we are already speaking to current NFT galleries in Australia right now, and probably in France and Paris.
wow.
Uh, and I'm starting to get into LA as well to get that exhibition going for the artists to actually highlight their works.
Mm,
That's the artist side. We are also trying to build really detailed world map or world view and different roadmaps for people to actually get.
mm,
Of course, there can be a secondary collection coming out, maybe, I don't know. But we're also thinking about merch as well. Different merch is going to be a little more different than what most of the projects are doing. Instead of, I think a lot of people really, um, the merch is just clothing, shirt,
mm.
logo, and that's something I really, really don't like personally. And I think there has to be some sort of like a craftsmanship, and rather than just like, oh yeah, it's all different. Here's your, like $10 shirt, whatever. You bought it for $200, but who cares? Rather than doing that, I think of doing something more beyond that. And one of the role model, or like, there's something that I look up to is Supreme. Supreme does a lot of product, and for me as
Right.
a product designer, that just thrills me. And I think that's more impactful because you can buy those shirts, okay, all good, but how many times will you wear that is something I always think of.
Right.
Because you have to show to people that you're doing this, and I'm pretty sure you're getting a lot of questions out of it and everything. And sometimes it's not your fit. You just bought it because you're a fan. But
Right.
I think, let's say product like cup like this, it's a McDonald's cup. But let's say this, you don't have to show this to people. You can just use it at home. It's
Hmm.
your private area, and you can use
Right.
it. You can just keep using it until it's broken. And I think that's something that I always looked up to into like product design, and that's something
Hmm.
that I want to bring into as a merch. Um, I'm not too sure what that can be, even
Hmm.
though I do know, I can't say. Um, but I think the merch is going to be in the form of everyday use instead of just you buying this because you're a fan.
Mm. Yeah, right, exactly. And especially with Supreme, what I like about what they do, you know, they do a lot of their products exclusive. Like that's what I very find very cool about the streetwear brand Supreme. But also too, like not only I could see like your NFT collection like with like shirts, but I could also see with like bucket hats or like some like ball cap
Hmm.
hats, or like sneakers would be cool. We thought about like sneakers, like having your
Hmm.
BluuTopia type sneakers or Air Force Ones or something like that.
Hmm. That's that's one of our moonshot. We really want to, for me as a coming into the shoe background, that's something I can definitely do. That's something that definitely can manage to do. But we have to find like how to do it. The shoe is tough. It takes a lot of time and
Right.
it's super tough. And I need to find some good guys to actually do this, but not just a random brand or manufacturer.
Right.
It has to be some tight ones. And I think in order to do that, it's going to take a long time.
Hmm.
Because our brand has to be set in order for them to be interested in doing something. So I think our aim is to brand this thing out, expand our branding,
Hmm.
increase the values, by doing that, then get people interested in collaborating with us into much bigger projects.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, totally. But last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people support BluuTopia?
What you guys can do is we're usually on Twitter and Discord.
Mm.
So in Twitter, my name is BluuGu. So you can type BLUUGU. Or for BluuTopia, it's Twitter again, BLUUTOPIA. So BluuTopia. And if you go into Twitter, please give us a follow.
Mm.
And if you can see the bell sign right next to the follow, and if you can that's notification on. So whenever I post something, you get a notification. So if you press that as well, and whenever we post, if you guys can like and retweet, it'll just be amazing. And furthermore, if you can join our Discord community and support us there, it'll be just fantastic. I'm always there. I'm always talking, as long as with my teammates. So it's not like I promote, I disappear. I'm always there. So I'm always there. So yeah, bring your friends as well.
But thank you so much, Lucius, for jumping onto the show. Your work is absolutely cool. Like your work there again reminds me of Mr. Mizang's work. Is there's so much stuff going on. Jeff Apposite's work, like his work is really cool as well. Yeah, but I like what you're doing. Keep up the amazing work, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
amazing here. I was, never done this in type of interview, but I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to doing more. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Take it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care and stay beautiful.